Hi guys, Becca Switzer here. We've been on the topic of, going through life transitions and everything from breakups to loss to, death or whatever it is that, causes us to experience pain in our lives. And if you caught one of my previous videos, I was talking about not resisting our pain, right? Like, our pain is just one of the emotions. It's just as important as happiness and joy and all the other ones, right? We don't like to feel pain. We usually try to avoid it. And grief is a big one. For anybody who's gone through anything like a divorce or the loss of a pet or the death of a close family member or a partner or a breakup or any kind of loss, grief is like, there's a quote from the show Big Little Lies. Meryl Streep says, "Grief is too big of a burden to bear alone. It must be shared with others." And I'm paraphrasing slightly because I can't remember exactly what it is. But grief is like, if you've not experienced it, there's no way to describe it. It feels like you are just drowning in sorrow and pain. Like, there's anger, there's blame, there's deep depression, there's anxiety associated with it, there's bargaining. And I did read something once that said a man was describing grief like this. Grief is like being out in the ocean and just getting pounded by these 80-foot waves that there's no break. It's like one after another, and you're like, you're alive, but you're barely hanging on. And eventually, even though it feels like they're never going to end, eventually they're still 80-foot waves, but they're 5 minutes apart. And you kind of have a chance to catch your breath and float there lifelessly. And then there's another 80-foot wave and you're like, ah! And then eventually they're 10 minutes apart. And then maybe they're still 10 minutes apart, but they're only 50-foot waves. And then maybe they turn into 30-foot waves and they're 30 minutes apart. And eventually the waves don't necessarily stop coming all the time, but they become manageable. You know what to expect. You know when to hold your breath. And you know that you survived the 80-foot waves and you're going to survive these too. And when I got divorced, that was my first real experience, experiencing traumatic grief. Honestly, I didn't think I was going to survive. It was a dark, dark period that lasted for well over a year. And I have the support of my very close friends, and my partner at the time that was kind of with me through that process to thank, because without them, I literally was drowning in those 80-foot waves with just 100-foot waves. I didn't think I was going to make it. Well, what is grief? I think that grief is kind of like, in our hearts, we love all these different things in our lives, right? Whether it's pets or people or whatever relationships we have that hold an important, huge part in our hearts. And we have all this love for those people, right? Whether it's a former lover or a dog that you have or cat or your grandma or whatever. And when that person is gone, whether it's a breakup or a death, you have all this love that now doesn't seem to have anywhere to go. It was meant for that person or that animal. And now it's like, where am I supposed to put that love? And I think that that's how grief comes out. It's actually love that's just leaking out through sorrow of loss. And it's so painful. But if you're somebody that's going through grief, I want you to know that even right now, if you're drowning in the 100-foot waves and you literally don't know if you can go on, I promise, if you just don't resist your pain, you let yourself feel it, and you let yourself get to the other side, there is profound healing and knowledge on the other side. You will be broken wide open with compassion and love for other people and for yourself, and you'll become such a stronger person. I know these all sound like cliches if you've not been through it yet, but you really do come out on the other side like a beautiful person who knows exactly how it feels to not freaking want to be here anymore, to not think you're going to make it, to hurt feel lost so deeply, it will make you 10 times the person you are today. So please hang on. Just hold on for one more day. Wilson Phillips. But seriously, grief is a normal part of life, and if you don't grieve, you're probably dead inside. So embrace it. Embrace it as an indicator that you are a being just bursting with the capacity to love, and you're bursting with empathy and compassion. And loss is a normal part of life, right? The only permanent thing in life is our impermanence. Everything that comes into form eventually goes away. So embrace it. Grief is just a part of life. It has tremendous value if you allow it to have it. Don't just get stuck there. That's the only thing that I challenge you to do. Don't get stuck in grief. Let it pass through you. Let it show you what it needs to show you. I love you all. I hope this was helpful. Catch you guys later. Bye.